Welcome back, everyone, to It Starts Now, the happy hour of finance and business. My name is Stanley. In this episode, we are doing things a little differently. First, I would like to say thank you for all the support and everybody that's been really supporting us, showing us some love. I just want to say thank you. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe and the like button and share. It definitely helps us out to continue to bring you guys some good content. Today, I have a panel of three. They're here to talk about the ugly truth about business that people don't talk about. Please welcome my guys, Malik Lee, financial planner, owner of Felton and Pill, Jason Bovell, managing partner of Bovell Financials, Al-Aleem Kabba, owner of Payvmnt, and he's specialized in a lot of inventory. And I get a lot of calls for Al on the low because people want to know how the inventory and distribution works. Welcome, guys, and thank you so much for being on this show.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
So I want to dive in because we have a short limit of time. We made this happen really quickly. We had some technical issues before, and now we're back on. So I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate that. I just want to go for each one of you guys to tell me what's one of the ugliest truths that people didn't share with you that you learned along the way. So we're going to start with Jason, if you guys don't mind.
I actually wish I was going last. A lot of truths are missing. One of the ugly truth that isn't shared that I learned through actual experience is just because you have a good product or service does not mean they will come.
Mm. Yeah, that's a good one. That's an important one. All right, because you have to have the market for it, right? Even if you got a good product, you still got to have that market for it.
Yeah.
Al?
I think one of the ugliest truths, entrepreneurship and scaling a business, like it's an emotional roller coaster. I don't think a lot of people really tell you, like, especially like social media, they see it's like glitz and glamour, but entrepreneurship is a real emotional roller coaster that you got to have like an ironclad stomach for, I think.
That is true. Malik?
Yeah, probably what I got to say kind of piggybacks on what Al kind of mentioned, and that is that you need the buy-in from family and friends and loved ones. Even, a lot of people think that entrepreneurship, it's all about me, that I'm doing this myself, this is my business, my job. But if you're a teenager, right, or somebody young, you need your parents to buy in, right? If you're in your 20s, you need a girlfriend or a parent also to buy in. If you're married with or in relationships, like you need family members to buy in, you need friends to buy in. Like, you can't go out all the time and eat anymore. Everybody has to pitch in, everybody has to buy in, and I think that's one thing that if you don't get that buy-in or that support, it can be one of your worst decisions that you ever made from a lifestyle or stress standpoint if everybody's not bought in.
That's true too. But do you think that falls in line of being a salesman? Because you still got, even though you're selling it to your family or friends, you still got to sell and learn that technique in order for you to sell it to other people.
Yeah, I think it's, really, something, yes, that plays a part in it, but some people, they'll look at their family members' ideas and they'll probably say deep down, like, this is a dumb idea. Like, I don't know why they're doing this, but they're still there. They're still supporting them because it's your dream at the end of the day, right? So I think it's more to it than just, look, I have this awesome idea. I have this amazing idea. Like, a 50-year-old, like Mark Zuckerberg's parents, 50 years old, their kid comes to them from Harvard and like, look, Dad, I got this app that I want to start where everybody is friends with each other. They probably laughed at him and thought it was stupid, so like everybody's not going to believe or understand your vision, but that's a whole nother different story, right? Understanding and believing the vision. But I'm just talking about right now, just buying in, just, all right, that's what you want to do. I'm gonna be there to support you, no matter what.
Al, did you struggle with that same thing?
Yeah, I think so. I think I still do, because you really think about, what we're trying to build at Payvmnt is really, something really, really big, so not a lot of people understand that vision, like what you're trying to scale and what you're trying to build. And it becomes this like, people are just like, I don't get it, because, it's strange, because you have this idea of what you want your company to be 10, 15 years into the future, and a lot of people are not really thinking on that scale, or following your path and following your vision, so yeah, I do agree. But there's people that'll come along during your journey, during your process, that will believe in your vision. And, and they'll ride with you till the wheels fall off, and you probably met them a week ago. You know what I mean? And that's just part of the game. That those people are just aligned to be part of that vision.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's true. Bovell, just one thing, like besides capital, what would you say is the other thing that people should know before they get in or should have?
Well, I thought Malik and Al, what they said is very real on the ugly truths that aren't told. After, first, of course, capital. Second, outside of capital, whether it's your product or service, you need to know the market that you're going to go after. I think that's very big. Now, as Al and Malik will probably testify, that grows and changes as you go along. But in the beginning, you should at least have that in mind, because you need to know who your target is so you can go after them and figure out, hey, do they like my product? Do they like my service? And if they do, how can I tailor it for them to really appreciate it and to kind of take over the market or make myself a lane and be a desirable service provider or a product in that lane. So that's the second thing that I think that you need after capital.
Would you agree, Al?
Yeah, I think like your vision of the company will change, but for instance, right, I was listening to a podcast, and there's a guy named Steve Blank, is pretty much like one of the godfathers of like startups and technology. He was like, you'll hear 5 people tell you no, and then you want to repivot your whole idea. I think people are going to tell you no. That's just part of the game. And if you know explicitly your target market and you're serving like a niche group of people, there's nobody in your lane, man. It's just stay in your lane. There's no traffic in your lane.
Yeah. How about you, Malik?
I'm going to go against the grain a little bit, and I'm going to say that once you got your capital, I think now that you need to understand technology on how it can improve your business and how it can disrupt your business, right? So you can start your business today, and there's a bot that's going to take over your business tomorrow, and all the capital in the world is not going to help you, right? So like we saw big major companies, learn that the hard way, Blockbuster, things of that nature, right? So I would say that after capital, what we're taught in school is, learn your competitive landscape and things of that nature. I think now that you are competing with, Skynet right now. I think you're competing with the, iRobot or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I think every industry needs to be able to, that no matter what you're starting, you need to be able to understand that and dissect that and understand the risk of that, no matter what industry that you're in.
I would like to jump in. Malik, isn't that sort of knowing your market? Because if you know who you're going to be going after, Can't you roll that up into, hey, I'm going after this part of the market or who I'm targeting, and that kind of goes underneath that of what's going on, what does your market need, and you can kind of look at that as what's the competition. I personally think, because I don't think you can sit there and know what's going to come truly tomorrow. Everyone likes to say you can, but let's be real. You use Blockbuster, but Blockbuster had a hell of a run. I mean, they had a hell of a run. When they started, who was sitting down there and able to predict Netflix 20 years later?
That's true. They had such a great run that they turned down Netflix.
Now, if you're already in the market, I do agree that you always should keep your eyes open on what's going on and be open to change and being fluid. But I think for someone starting out, whether it's distribution, the financial service sector, whether it's consulting, whether it's a grocery store, there's only so many things you'll know going in, and being able to predict what technology is going to do maybe 5 or 10 years down the road. I think that's kind of tough.
Well, let's be clear and understand exactly what I said, right? So I didn't disagree with the market idea. I just said my focus would be more so on technology. So if you want to put it underneath it, then yes, we're kind of saying the same thing from that standpoint. But then also, I never said predict, right? Said understand how technology can disrupt you. Blockbuster knew Netflix was there. Yep. Blockbuster understood that you better they didn't believe in that idea. And that's why they lost, right? So that's more of my point. Nobody's
they weren't a startup
of predicting. It's understanding if I'm starting a podcast, what are the, if I'm starting a delivery service, right? Like with Al, an inventory, kind of like what Al's doing and managing, he needs to understand, how far away are the drones to delivering things to people's houses. Like that's a real thing, right? Those are things that we're hearing and talking about right now. If I'm a car developer, I need to understand what's going on with Tesla and how Tesla is disrupting the car industry, and like, if you don't, and if you just go out there, you can get all these loans, you can get this capital, and you could be left out in the cold, which a lot of people, and we're seeing, right? There was tons of restaurants that wasn't on Uber Eats and Grubhub and Postmates and all those things of that nature. COVID turned that around, right?
But Malik, that's not technology though. That happens to be like, circumstances based off like a virus.
No, the COVID accelerated everything.
Right.
Okay.
COVID didn't change.
Right.
Go ahead, Al, because Jason and I have been dominated. Go ahead, Al.
No, I was gonna say, I agree with you. There's a book. I think there's a professor at I think Harvard wrote a book called The Innovator's Dilemma, where he said the reason why a lot of big businesses fail is because they don't allocate their resources to focus on emerging trends. And that right there is the innovator's dilemma. So if we take the case of Blockbuster and Netflix knew that immediately they weren't going to make a lot of money on, the DVDs and then the streaming, which is next, because it was paying for the licensing. Blockbuster could have took the same pivot, but they didn't. The rate of return that they were going to get from the DVDs and the content wouldn't be able to satisfy the stomachs of, the growth margins that they need to see fit. So Netflix played the long game. They paid for the licensing for movies, losing tons of money on their platform. And now look, they got Netflix original content, which is crazy because it understands what you like to watch. And then from there, they just create more content around that.
Yeah. Another great example is Disney.
Yeah.
Like Disney's pivot is amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That streaming platform that they got right now. But
you got to credit Netflix for that.
Yeah.
But it's not hard when you got the money like Disney and the power like
True.
Disney,
but
right?
At the end of the day, you still got to credit Netflix for now. People are saying like, okay, now we need to go to, Disney was always doing original content.
Correct.
But now they're going to the streaming service. And because their catalog is so long that they could afford, it's one thing if you could afford the money to pivot and go into that ecosystem, but it's another thing to say, okay, do I have enough content to compete? It's just so fortunate that Disney has enough content to compete,
Yeah.
and their content is something that people want to watch.
Yeah, they want to watch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have it centralized.
Yeah.
So
True.
just to, I think definitely, Malik, what you're saying is real. I'm coming from, hey, I'm getting ready to start my business. What are the immediate things that I need to do? Capital, of course.
Yeah.
But the second thing is know your market, know who you're targeting. What are the possible downfalls? Which you're right, technology is definitely something that in every field you need to think about.
But is it because technology is constantly improving by the second?
Correct.
So something that's probably good today, tomorrow be obsolete.
Exactly. And that's why I said right after, before, like back in the day, it was the SWOT analysis, right? You're looking at those things to understand competitively what's going on, and, other competitors and other marketers. And like, for me, like the first thing I look at is, okay, what is technology going to be doing? Like right now, if you're looking to open up a grocery store, like you better be mindful of the Amazon stores where you can come in and pick up groceries without a register, without like nothing. If you own vending machines, if your business is vending machines, you better be mindful of those same non-person vending stores that's out there. Like technology is changing and is growing at such a rapid pace that you need to understand how that can affect your business, because most people are not getting into business for 2 months or 2 years, right? You're hoping to do this for the long term. So like, and that's why I'm just like, with me, I'm just looking at how technology affects that, and I'm always putting money into it. We're always investing into it, especially in our industry. Like, because I don't want to be blindsided. I'm not trying to predict, but I don't want to be, blindsided from some new thing that can take us over, if you will.
Well, that can happen. But quick question. I'm gonna make a quick switch. How has like being an entrepreneur has affected your family life? Jason, you laugh. You want to go first?
Yes, it's funny. My kids, they actually kind of mock me, because when I come around and they're like, hey, we want to do this, we want to do that, I have a saying, daddy's got work to do. It's become like an anthem, where actually earlier today I said, daddy's got, and they finished the rest of the sentence, work to do. So with that being said, with pursuing your business, entrepreneurship, starting up a company, growing a company, it takes time, and it does affect your family life. I've seen it not just with me personally, but I'm in a unique position where I service other businesses, and I am fortunate enough to talk to other business owners who are clients of mine, and it does affect their family life. And I think when we started this podcast and Malik went against the grain and said the ugly truth is you have to have family buy-in, that's very true, because your family is directly and indirectly affected by the business. And it's not just from a money standpoint or a time standpoint. There's so many other things that come into play. Like Al even touched on the emotional roller coaster where your family comes along for the ride. And, one can say that's with any line of work, and that's true. It's just that with the business or entrepreneurship area, I feel that it could be even more impactful, because you're riding a new ride and it's always turning and moving, and it has a great amount of unpredictability, more so than just a job.
Malik, how about you? How are we gonna get to you? Because I know
Okay.
you don't have kids. So go ahead.
Oh man, Al, you win. You lucky, man.
He's winning right now. Go ahead, Malik.
But this is probably like the worst question for us three on this call. We're all people like entrepreneurs, right? So we're all
Right.
people business, right? So
Mhm.
our schedule a lot of times is determined by our clients,
True.
and so like, I would say the good thing I would say it's 50-50. In the beginning, it could be rough to points that Jason alluded to, financially with startup, and you don't have the money to go out to eat or vacations that you typically had, because you're putting that back into the business, and you might not have the time because you don't have the money to pay for the assistant that you need, or things that you need. So you're putting in more hours to do with less. So you're working longer hours, you're working more. With me, my phone is like always ringing, whether it's for new information I need to worry about with the stock market or financial planning stuff, or a client, or somebody who's trying to become a client. So my phone is always ringing. I'm always on the phone. So people become entrepreneurs because they say they want to control their life, they want to control their destiny,
The narrative, their destiny. Yeah.
yeah. So that's, you can argue that, and we probably all might have different opinions on this, but you can argue that because your clients are your bosses, right? If you need to, when you get to a certain point, you can start telling people no, but in the beginning, those no's, it becomes harder to do because you got to pay the bills.
Yeah.
So like, I would say it's good and bad. Obviously, if you had somebody here that owned a tech company and working from their laptop, it could work on the beach as long as they have Wi-Fi. I don't know, they might have a different answer. And then they have low overhead because all they need is their MacBook or something. But for us, we need inventory, we need capital, or for people like myself and Jason, time is our, like, we only have a certain amount of hours in the day, and we're providing a service, and we get paid based on how many of the services that we charge throughout the day. So for with us, time is of the essence. So we can't waste it, or we lose money. So I'm 50-50 on it. But
Yeah. Well, I want to say this. Like, I'm gonna give it right to you, Al. But I do want to say this. I think everybody has a boss, even in leadership. Like, when you reach a certain level, your
the shareholders,
employees
their bosses,
is really, you're really working for your employees to make sure
yeah,
that the
and
environment is
them too.
good so they can produce. So it
Absolutely.
doesn't matter. I think any level, you have accountability from somewhere, and that becomes your boss, right? Al, how about you?
Man, yeah, like it's different for me, right? Because like I don't have, I don't have a wife, I don't have kids, like I'm a young dude, like I haven't even cracked 30 yet, So for me, I took it as, you're gonna go into a period of like isolation. You're trying to build this startup, and get it off your chest now and do it now before you start a family, so on and so forth. And it's really like an emotional roller coaster because there's just so much uncertainty that you have to battle with. Not a lot of people are going to understand the summit that you're trying to reach. So there's a lot of things that come into play, and as we grow, if you think about Payvmnt, right? Like Payvmnt, like we start deliveries at 7 a.m. and we don't end until 10 p.m. So this company is now operating at like 15, 16 hours a day. 7 days a week. The business never closes. So I'm always plugged into the business. And as we grow and we expand, that's only going to become more and more, and it isolates you a lot because, there's vacations, like Malik was saying that you want to go on, but, we can't go on because we have certain milestones and trajectories that we're trying to hit, and then it becomes even more impactful is like, now I have investors that are investing a lot of money into Payvmnt, and like I have a fiduciary obligation to those investors. Like that also plays a part that isolates you a lot from your family and a lot of people because they just don't understand that level of responsibility when it comes to like investors in general. And it could drive somebody crazy, man. I think it can really drive you crazy if you don't got a good head on your shoulders.
Okay, hold on. Okay, so time out. All right. So for the viewers out there, right? If we have to pick, is it good or bad on the families? If we got to pick just one of those two, what would we say? I guess like if we had to choose, because I didn't give an answer. I was like, it's
Yeah.
But if we had to choose one, I guess you had to lean one way. What would we say?
But that's if your family is involved. If your family's involved and they believe in the dream, like you said earlier, then yes, then it's good. But if your family is not engaged, then you're being pulled in two ways. And to Al's point, you definitely need that emotional IQ. Like, if without that emotional IQ, you won't be able to like balance everything. You're gonna go crazy. So you have to be calm in order to balance everything off, and then make good decisions and say, okay, maybe today I'm not gonna go as hard at the business. I need to spend time with the family.
Yeah, okay, but you know what? You know what? Let's take a step back from that, right? Even if the family's not involved, there's times like this, right? So if you are a pizza shop owner, and COVID shuts you down and you can't pay your bills and all this stuff is happening, like family members get pulled in regardless, whether they want to be involved or whether you don't need them or not.
Right. Well, so, that's the bread and butter, right? If that's the one that's generating the most money, then yeah, everybody got to pull in. Because that's the winner, right? That's the win. But if it's not the winner and something else is the winner, then something has to sacrifice.
Now by winner, you're talking about the breadwinner.
Like if you're going through something right now, because I don't want to say that I never want to promote you sacrificing your current living, right, and putting your family into a situation, right? You want to have the dream, you want to focus on the dream, but if you have to get a little part-time job, whatever it is, and still do the dream, then I suggest that, because I don't subscribe to putting your family in a situation that I'll never do. But at the same token, you can't ask somebody to have that's the breadwinner to say, listen, I need you to focus on this business. Then who's bringing in the bread?
Okay.
I want to jump in there, Stan.
Go ahead.
That's why we're doing this. There's so many layers, and family is a huge part, as Malik said, actually the ugly truth in the very beginning. Most people who start businesses, that business is a part of them. That's their baby. That's hopefully their dream.
Sure.
Al keeps speaking on vision, etc. That is a family commitment. When that business is almost in trouble, even if, let's say you're married and the spouse is the breadwinner, your business is still the baby. It's still going to take some type of involvement from everyone sometimes at some point, whether it's large or small. Malik touched on the pizza shop owner. I have pizza shop clients. And when COVID hit, it did affect the family. And family had to jump in that don't normally really have anything to do with the pizza shop, immediate family. So I think when you have a business, and this is for anyone out there that has a family, Malik said it from the beginning, your family has to understand, and you want them to have a buy-in, because you never know when you will need them. And it's not only when things are going bad. Sometimes you just need them when things are going good. Rapid expansion. You might have something going on. You say, hey, guys, I need a few extra hands, or just running ideas, the ups and downs of business and of your day, etc. So, it's so many different things.
Man, I got a story about the last recession, right? 2008, everybody was in the real estate, right? Real estate was going great. Real estate was going phenomenal. People were making money hand over fist. Real estate market collapses, right? And my brother's wife is doing rehabs, cleaning out foreclosures, right? She gets so much business. She's doing well from that. And then they don't have enough employees. Employees are not showing up. Next thing you know, them two are knocking on my door. Hey, Malik, I need you to come pull up some carpet. I'm like, what? I'm sitting here watching the game, you know? And then it was like, you know, but at me with that entrepreneur like mindset from the beginning, I was down for it. I understood it. And also I got a good steak dinner out of it, but you know, but still, you know, it was like, you know, to Jason's point is it's not always good times or bad times. It could be either or, good or bad, right?
Yeah,
From that perspective.
That's a good point. I'm glad you guys touched on something because one of the things that I struggle with right now, and is the ugly truth, is the onboard process, right? You want to bring some people on board, and you want to make sure that you're scaling at a good rate. But the ugly truth is not everybody you bring on board is going to meet those criterias or it's going to have those type of skill sets, especially in the beginning when you know that, okay, you budget in your capital, right? Because you have other things that you want, other resources that you want to make sure that it is funded. And now you bring in on people, and now you got to fire somebody because they're not working out.
Yeah.
And that's one of the ugly things that people don't talk about, is that there's going to be times where you got to fire somebody and then you just lost out on some time, right? It kind of put you on a step back. Now, my question is, who else experienced that or can understand that?
Yeah, I definitely get where you're coming from. Like now, especially like we're in a point of, you know, scaling and hiring employees to come on our team. Like we just hired a marketing team, you know, and I live by like a philosophy, like, hey, if I can't work with you for a long time, I don't want to work with you for a short time, you know. And I think we gravitate more towards hiring people from diverse backgrounds that, you know, want to be entrepreneurs, want to do their own thing after. So let's use Payvmnt, you know, as a crash pad where you can learn, you know, how to do, you know, managerial things, how to do the finances, how do you do law, you know, like a lot of the people we look to hire have that urge to want to be entrepreneurs themselves, you know. So take this time to work with us and do that, man. And also when I think it comes to firing somebody, man, you gotta make it quick. There's a book, you know, this guy Ben Horowitz, he wrote a book called The Hard Thing About Hard Things.
Yeah, there was a quote that says, hire slowly, fire fast.
Yeah, absolutely. 1,000,000%.
True though. Yeah. Because my thing is, how much time you're gonna give someone? Like, can you really gauge that? Like, how much time you're gonna give somebody to turn around, to improve, before you say, all right, this is not working out?
You'll be able to tell quickly. I think you'll be able to tell quickly. And then I think
all you three up there are talking big talk. We're down here. I'm down here in Georgia, where we could fire you just for just for the way you clocked in wrong down there. So y'all got all these unions and all that stuff up there. So, there's way more red tape up there, dog. Way more red tape up there.
So
can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
That's very true, Malik, but it also depends on size.
Yeah.
So you're right, there's red tape, but if you're a startup or a small emerging company, you have a little bit more leeway compared to if you're a large company where you have an HR department, and if they take you to court, it's a serious deal. I definitely agree with you, Stan. You have to know when to get rid of people and get rid of people quickly. I had a horrible experience 6-7 years ago where we hired a bunch of hopefuls, and I realized that if you're not on top of the hiring process and making sure you get the right people, it doesn't matter what process or system that you have in place. Those people can wreck it and cause you considerable financial damage and or the loss of a company. If you're going to hire 4 people, for anyone that's out there, or 2 people or 3 people, and you want to be a bleeding heart and give a chance, I would recommend, if you're hiring 4 people, you make sure 3 people are very strong, and that one on the border person is the maximum amount that you hire. I would say 25%. should be the hopeful, where, you know, it could go either way, but you want to give them a shot and you want to surround them with strong people. Because if you don't do that, if you have 4 hired folks and you have 2 that are good and 2 that you're giving a shot to, your chances are that it's going to be a failed experiment. For whatever reason, when you have underperforming people, that spreads like a rotten apple in a bag. You want to surround one possible person around a team that's strong. So if they do go sideways, it doesn't really destroy what you have going on and the momentum. So that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah. So if I can add on to that, you guys talked about firing people. I'm gonna talk about what's so hiring. So what's the good things here? All right. So 2 things, right? One of them is, if you're looking to hire early, right? Don't wait until you're already busting through the seams, or where you're already in trouble and then you need to hire. You kind of have to plan in advance, you know. So if you're almost at capacity, or if you feel like you're going to get there with that one deal or the next deal after, then you want to hire now. So you want to give yourself, you want to have policies, procedures, you want to have training out the way for when you start to hit the ground running, you know. So one of the things I see mistakes a lot of business owners make is they start to hire after they're getting bad reviews because their service tanked and all that stuff like that. So you want to hire, like, you know, in advance. And sometimes you might not always see the revenue there, but that's part of, you know, ownership, and that's part of entrepreneurship. And that's one of the risks you have to take. The other thing is get into the community. If you're looking to hire, you need to get into the community. And I'm not talking about like sponsoring like basketball tournaments and, you know, yeah, you can do that and stuff like that, but I mean, like, just get visual, market your brand. You know, if you are, you know, for example, like, you know, go to a college and help kids that's looking to start podcasts. You know, if you're looking to do podcasts, like, get into the community, and when you do that, people are going to see your work, and then you're going to get a chance to interact with potential candidates before they even come in the door. You know, I'm heavily involved in the wealth management industry, and I meet some great kids like every day, you know, and I'm seeing them in action. I'm seeing their work. I'm seeing if they're on time. I'm seeing all of these things, and they don't even know it. They're being interviewed this whole time, and people are calling me up, Malik. You know, I just got 3 kids jobs the other day. You know, and it was like, hey, Malik, you know, do you know anybody hiring? I need somebody to do this. I got the perfect girl for you. You know, she was D1 track. She's in Texas, and she's amazing. She calls me once a quarter. I see the progress that she's doing. I see the job that she's doing. So get into the community. Matter of fact, my last firm that I was at was a $2 billion firm, and they didn't even hire or market to anybody. What they did is they had a robust investment management training program inside of Kennesaw State University, KSU, probably just as big as like, it's like the NYU down here, right? So like it was real big, and they were always able to cherry pick the top students coming out of that class. You know, every year they had the first crack at them before Goldman Sachs, before the Morgan Stanleys. So because they were in the community. So I would say that about hiring.
That's good. You guys touched on something earlier about the rapid growth with hiring, right? Now, how do you manage the rapid growth without being crushed by the weight of the growth?
I think that's a real tough question, and you know, sometimes you just there's no way to handle it. We just gotta strap up and just punch to the face.
I think though, Malik kind of touched on it and Al, there's no, of course, one way to look at things, but if you see that you're having rapid growth, you obviously need a team. You're going to have to hire people. Mm-hmm. So Malik gave tips on how to be in the community. Al gave tips on the type of people you look for, because that's, paramount. Whether you have a product or a service, you have to have the right people. And, when you're growing and growing rapidly, that becomes key. And then also seeking out help. There's certain resources that you may not need when you're first starting out that become paramount as you grow. Leveraging technology. There's technology that I didn't have use for 2-3 years ago, and I'm sure Al and Malik will testify. But as I grew, I already knew that, hey, once I get this size, this technology is going to come into play. And it did. And I think that kind of goes along with what Malik said at the start of the show about identifying technology. Then also having a team doesn't just mean people that work for you or work for your company. Having advisors and other people that you can reach out to in your industry and sometimes not in your industry, but are knowledgeable, that can say, hey, you know what, Stan, you're at this size, you're going through these issues. I have a vendor or a resource that you can use that are specifically suited for the issues that you have now. And, I've done that for clients in a myriad of industries. I have a client right now. He's in construction. He received some larger than normal contracts, and he felt he was in over his head. But because I had another client who is also in the construction industry, but about 4 or 5 times larger than he is, I was able to give him that platform to speak to that gentleman and have that gentleman walk him through some of the things that he needed to do immediately, so that he can transition well and still keep up the good service. So those are the things that I would advise anyone listening, if your company's growing, that you try to do. And of course, the path is different for everyone. I'm sure there's other things that I probably overlooked, but that would be my most basic advice.
I'm curious to hear what the logistics expert got to say here.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Al to chime in. Al, you ready to chime in?
Yeah, I think for rapid growth, before you even start to think of rapid growth, especially being at like Amazon, like we would just grow at record-breaking speeds and paces. What I learned, if you're building a system to scale or to have rapid growth,
but Amazon was like, did they scale on a normal pace, or did they blitz scale?
Blitz scale. Everything was blitz scale.
Okay, go ahead.
And what I realized was that, if you set up a solid foundation of processes within your organization, and those processes can handle an influx of higher growth, you'll be fine. The thing I've realized is that we don't set up, the processes to allow growth to come in, right? You're doing things in the beginning, it's going to be super manual, it's not scalable. But you should have a conscientious understanding of, I need to put a system in place just in case if we go from 1 to 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a system where I can handle 1 and that system has a little bit of scalability in it, you'll be able to go to 100, then 500, then 1,000, and I think that's really the key piece when it comes to rapid growth. Also, you got to have a team that has a growth mindset. Okay, we're doing 1 customer now. We're going to be doing 50, then we're going to be doing 100. So in our minds, we're constantly programming our psyche for growth. So we move off, okay, this is going to work right now, but it's not future. But we already programmed our mind to have that conscientious understanding that growth is what we're after. We're after scalability, and once I have all those in my mind on a day-to-day basis, you're going to start to do things differently. Yes, it'll be manual, but we'll automate and scale as it comes along.
My gosh, man, Al hit a nerve with me because I remember one of my jobs that I had, and the owner came in. It was like, listen, we're about to, we're servicing 10 people a day, but we're about to be servicing 50. And then we're all like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
None of us wanted that to experience that growth. And by you saying everybody has to have that growth mindset, I mean, dude, like that's like, listen, I mean, that's important. That's very, very important. Because I remember multiple jobs where I either felt that I was being overworked, or I wasn't being paid good enough, or the right amount to warrant the work. So many different, or I just didn't like the people. I didn't like the boss. There's so many different things there. But if you're growing at that blitz scale that you're talking about, everybody has to be bought in. Everybody has to be motivated.
Yeah, everybody got to be on board. So I think, and I appreciate you sharing that with us, Al, because that's very important, the growth mindset. I think Bovell touched on it by having an advisory board, a group of people you could go to. Not necessarily has to be, board member, your exact board members, but people that you can go reach out to and get some feedback. Because actually right now we're expanding that, right? We actually have like 3-4 members, and now we're about to grow to a couple of more members, just to give us feedback and let us know what's going on. And sometimes you can provide options, right? You can provide options, or you can provide equity if they want to put in that sweat in the beginning, and then you just give them some equity in the back end, or you give them that option where they just on board, they help you out, and then when that time comes and you start to scale, they have that first option because they've been there. But I know, like, a lot of companies, when they start out, they need that friends and family round. And I know, Al, you're familiar with that. Everybody's familiar with that friends and family round, where you get people to invest in. Now, what's some of the challenges with that?
Man. So I think, the friends and family round, like we started Payvmnt, like, we took a huge pivot. So we were looking to raise, I think like $50,000 in the friends and family round. And we ended up doing like 1/5 of that, just a little bit over that. The thing is, if you really think about it, and I was saying this on another show, is, how many times in our community do you see people come to you for business ideas on a grand scale, where we don't see enough deals and are exposed to that investing plateau and that whole ecosystem enough where it's normalized, So if I come to you, Stanley, and be like, yo, I need $50,000, you're going to be like, I never experienced this,
Right.
But if I go to a VC and I'd be like, hey, I need 50,000, he'd be like, okay, here's 100,000, because I'm used to giving people $250,000.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a very huge piece that goes into it. And people have to know that,
But it's not just the exposure, right? It's also a lot of people, I'm talking about friends and family round. A lot of people they don't mind putting 20,000, 30. I know people personally don't mind putting 20,000, 30,000 if they think the company's already on its way. Like, it's out the gate, it's on its way, right? But for a startup,
that's not
to your point, that's not common.
No, it's not common amongst our community. You know what I mean? I think it is. There's a commonality out there that we needed to bring into the community to say, like, hey, this is how you really build generational wealth, by private equity, by sound investments, by, like I use it all the time, like the PayPal mafia guys, right? Like, they worked with each other 4 or 5 times. Now they're all billionaires,
Right.
We worked on PayPal together. Okay, we're gonna put more money into Tesla with you, Elon Musk, because we've done exceptionally well as a group, and then it becomes like a closed-net ecosystem where it's hard to tap into that. We need to be able to replicate that amongst ourselves to say, okay, this is now our 6th and 7th venture. We're good to go. We've made so much money venture by venture. Let's keep on going, and then we'll pull more people into the ecosystem to expand our wealth amongst everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I thought everything you said, Al, is very true. What it is always difficult to raise money from friends and family, or family and friends, whichever one comes first. It's something about familiarity, and a lot of times in general, it's tough for people to see the vision. So what I would tell anyone that needs to get investments, the first place, of course, is to start with family and friends. You need to have a real presentation that they're able to see.
Yep.
Especially as Al said, when people are not used to it,
Yep.
you lower your chances of getting funding if you come not correct. So
Yep.
you coming and just talking about it to me isn't going to work if I'm not used to it and I don't know, or I'm not business savvy. So you need to have a presentation. I'm not going to preach, hey, you got to have a business plan, but you need to have something that they can see. Hey, Al, Malik, Stan, Jason, you're serious about this. You know where you want to go. You've put in some serious time. You've shown you've put up your own money, whatever, however small, and you really have given this a lot of thought. That helps your chances of getting funding go up. Now, yes, of course, you have groups that are still going to be tougher than other groups, but you at least arm yourself with that. And you might only get one family member that puts up $5,000 or $10,000 or whatever it is. But I guarantee you, you'll get nothing if you don't have a presentation. And if you're just going verbal to a group of people that are not used to doing that and that you have no track record with. Now, just think about human nature now. Wrap this point up. Al made a point saying the group went on to do more and more deals. Well, the more deals you do, I guarantee you, if I do 2 successful deals with Al, or even 1 successful, 1 unsuccessful, when Al comes with the 3rd deal, Al already has familiarity with what I want to see, and I have familiarity with Al, so I'm not going to require 30 pages. I might require 3 pages now, and then by 4th or 5th, Al might just be able to pick up the phone.
1 page.
And no page.
No page phone
talk me through it 10, 15, 30 minutes. If even that, and I say, Al, I have your money. But when you know you're breaking new ground, you need to be as equipped as possible.
Yeah.
And that's, my advice.
Yeah, no, that's solid right there. Malik, you want to chime in on it, or you were good?
Man, they all laid down some great points. I agree with everything that everybody said, and I think that's paramount. I would say that just real quickly, that your reputation is everything, to what they alluded to, right?
Yeah.
So now you come into family and friends, and you was that guy that's always late, to things, or you that person that never give nobody any money back, all this stuff is going to come to fruition now.
Yeah,
so
all right, I'm 50-50 with this one though. I'm 50-50, yeah, because I've invested in people that I believed in strongly, and they've been consistent. Or maybe I didn't see it. But for me, in my eyes, they were consistent. And then after the initial investment and everything, they just went sideways. They did a 360.
Well, right? I expect that to happen because of where we all grew up and how we all grew up.
True, but I'm just saying. But then
that's our weakness. That's our weakness, right there.
But I had some people that I was shaky at in the beginning. I was like, all right, I'll take a chance. I'll give you a little bit. I won't give you the full amount. I'll give you a little bit. And they turned around, and everything was up and up. So to me, it depends where the person is at in life. All right. And that's just me speaking out loud. That's how I view it, where the person is at in life. If they're at a point where they saw the bottom, they recognize the bottom, they don't want to be in the bottom anymore.
Yeah.
And they put some strides into repairing their reputation, right? And all of a sudden you'll be like, you got somebody that's really hungry, that really want to make something of themselves, and you just throw them a bone. And then guess what? They take it and run with it.
Mm-hmm. No,
right?
I totally agree. And you took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say reputation is, that's exactly what you're going to have to lean on. And if it's bad, you got to show how you have turned that around.
Right.
Because what we know now as older gentlemen now,
Right.
We know that people can grow and people can, and really turn around. If you'd asked me in my 18, when I was 18 and 20, I'm like, oh, nah, that dude ain't gonna be nothing, but now I'm like, man, he could turn it around. He could turn it around, because I've seen people do it. So yeah. So now that's a great point. That's a great point.
I really think it's where you at in life, and that determines. And then there's some people that they're not there yet, and you have to understand that you're gambling at that point.
Yeah.
But when you have understanding somebody that what they tried, they fell, but now they're ready to go back at it again, and they're more determined. They learn from their mistakes. Then hey, man, I'll take a chance.
So I've started about 10, maybe 20 different businesses. I never really counted them, right? And I've started a lot, and I've failed all different types, stores, promotions, marketing, restaurants, everything, right? And I've put money into all different types of businesses, and a lot of them, I did the stay and check method. Hey, this guy look a little shy, but just give a little bit, or and kind of things of that nature. So I learned a lot of lessons, but one thing that I learned throughout that whole time was that your word is everything, right? So any money that I've ever taken from somebody, I've always given back, even if I took like serious L's on projects. I've always, and I went back to them and say, listen, I lost on that project, but give me some time. I'm going to pay you whatever this amount every month or every quarter or every year or whatever it is, and I'm going to get you your money back. And to Jason's point, there's about 10 people that I can call right now that I can say, it's not about what you're investing in. It's about how much you need and how much I can spare.
Yeah.
That's really what it's all about.
That's validation right there, because I'm a firm believer. I got to pay you back. I don't want you on my back, man. Like, I can't take that pressure on my back. Like, I remember I had somebody, I'm going to get right to you, Bovell. Give me 1 second. I had somebody that I was rocking with when we were younger, and he took a serious loss, like 200 to $250,000 loss or something like that. And the dude was on his back, and he's like, yo, dude, I'll have your money. I don't like people on my back. He said something about, I don't wear cheap suits, man. So I don't want somebody on my back like that. So he turned around and he paid the money back, right? And that was, for me, seeing that was at a young age, taught me a lesson. And then I remember I had a mentor that told me that, you know what, if you got to go broke to pay somebody back, pay them back, because you never know when you're going to need them again, right? So in investments, we all take a risk, right? And we all gambling, and we all hoping that everything's going to turn around, right? But I think communication is key. If you can communicate, hey, shit is not going well, right? The person won't have that expectation of, okay, where's my money? What's going on? Where's my investment? But if you communicate, things not going well, give me some time. This is what we're going to do. Constantly communicate. The person will be more than understanding, because then they're going to figure out a way to help you get it back.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I've learned, because I've done it. Okay, this is not working. This, all right, how can we make it come back? And I jump in, because at the end of the day, it's still my investment.
Yeah. And one thing Jason and I talked about once before, and it was that the interest rates, and this is for people, if you're, depending on where you're at, if you're a startup or if you're somebody kind of like Al who needs capital to get the product and things of that nature, they got to depend more on that kind of stuff. So, or they need inventory, they need to buy inventory or whatever it is. Jason and I, we talked about the hence because he's a CPA, I'm a CFP, so we talk more of the money stuff, right? But one of our conversations that we talked about was how they rape you on these small business, like short-term small business loans, right? And I'm not talking about SBA loans, things of that nature for those individuals that are not familiar. I'm talking about like the 2-year get this business loan. I'm talking those rates are
Ridiculous.
like 30%.
Ridiculous.
You know, annual rates. You're
Ridiculous.
talking, you know, and I mean, like some of them you got to pay them weekly, so they want their money weekly, not even monthly, like weekly. You got to make a payment, you know. So if you are borrowing from a family member, you know, if you know that to get this 50,000 is going to cost me 30%, and I got to pay them back in 2 years, you know, like why not give my aunt 8% or 5%? Because right now in the money market, they're only getting 0.02.
Right.
So if I can give them 5% annually and tell them I'll pay them back over 5 years, I mean, that's a win for everybody, you know? So people got to get more creative as well too with the lending, and then kind of take away those ties. And then if it's and Jason could probably talk more about this, but then if it's a legal entity, right, and that business writes that note, and if it goes belly up, you can get creative on the capital loss from that. Like the some of those losses can be ordinary losses. You could take it against your income or other things like that. So depending on the type of loss, you got different ways that you can finagle this. So we got to get creative also on how we ask our family and friends for this capital.
That's true. You want to chime in, Bovell?
No, I agree with Malik 100% and Al. That kind of goes back to what we were saying. Al said something that really stuck with me, and I think that's what we're trying to do here today is we have to have these conversations because these conversations haven't happened in many homes or family structures or friend structures on, hey, we need to, both sides, those that are starting the companies and those that have money that have the ability to invest. How do we come together? How do we make it where it's a win-win for each side? And it's just about knowledge. You know, for anyone listening, as everyone said, you need to be able to bring a real plan to your friends and family. And on the other side, you know, you need to be willing to look at that plan because as Malik said, right now, and it's been this way for the past decade, no one realizes the interest before your interest in a savings account was 3-4% on regular savings accounts. When the market crashed in 2008, they dropped it. And, you know, everyone went along with it. But the economy has been booming for a long time, but yet those rates haven't gone up. So I always encourage clients.
It dropped again, by the way.
Yeah, I always encourage clients, hey, you know, it might be more advantageous to invest in a family member's business or friend's idea that you can trust as a way, if you don't want to go down that path, but you still want to make your money work for you and also advance your family, your friends, your community, it can be a win-win. And we have to explore that more because the outside lending markets, that's a major issue that I've personally seen for clients and for clients' businesses to go belly up. I've seen it over and over again, these predatory loans where the company is making money, but all the money's going out the door to pay back these loans, or the money that they can use to live or to expand and grow the business is going out the back door, where that same person has family or friends that could have lent them the money at a much cheaper rate and allow everyone to win. So we need to have more and more of these conversations because you have a lot of institutions that are predatory. And I feel you have a lot of institutions that aid in that, what is it, 90% fail rate of startups. Yeah. I guarantee you, I always say when you go and look at the money, for a lot of startups that fail, capital is one of the major reasons. And even startups that make it, the stress is capital.
Yeah. But then, and it's not only, okay, you could have the capital, but then you also have to think about your burn rate. Because if you're not managing that capital correctly, you could run through it very fast.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to monitor your burn rate. And so I know Al, he monitors the P&L very, very carefully.
I sleep next to a printed copy, man.
So that's one of the things that you got to keep in mind. You're 100% right, Bovell, like 1,000% actually. But keep in mind, capital. The reason why capital, even when you do have capital, if you don't monitor it correctly, if you don't allocate it to the right resources, so that way it could recoup some of that benefit, then you got to watch your burn rate, because you can just go through $100,000 without even looking at it.
So that is a good point, right? When you're talking about investing in something, that is a very, very good point. But I will also tell you that people, most of these lenders ignore that, right? They're looking at your deposits, and they're looking at your balances, right? So somebody, let's say, for example, and I'm picking on Al here because he's in that type of business where inventory is king, and they can show some big numbers and some big deposits in those type of industries, right? Their net might be a whole other different story, but those deposits and everything else can be looking phenomenal. So somebody like Al is a perfect candidate. Like if a family member comes up to Al and like, hey, Al, like, how much do you need to get you through Christmas season? Al might be like, man, if somebody gives me another 50,000, I can order I can order these products at a lower cost to lower my cost of goods, and I can make more money. And then something, I might be like, man, listen, I'll take that 50,000 and I'll give you back 5% in 6 months or whatever the number is. That's a great investment for somebody who's not doing anything. And for Al, that's super, super cheap money.
Yeah, it's good money right there.
That's super cheap money. So the burn rate, yes, but if the business is doing well cash flow wise, and you're trying to implement this strategy that I'm talking about, you want somebody that's like struggling with the burn rate a little bit, because like they need the cash. So you can hit them with a little bit of a higher interest rate. You don't want to do the 30%, like that's just outrageous. But because you actually know the person, you got to sit down with them over happy hour and have some drinks, because it starts now, right?
Yeah, absolutely, I like that fucking.
So I want somebody that I'm looking at the deposits. I'm looking at, okay, is this person really making money, right? Because
as a startup, right? As a startup, are you going to make that money in the beginning?
It depends, though.
Yeah, it depends.
You can, but for most startups, you're going to spend more before you start to.
Correct. And then that's where that burn rate comes.
And that's what I was talking about.
Yeah,
because
that burn rate comes in.
Yeah, because you're not all startups generate money in the beginning.
Correct.
Yeah. So you're gonna spend before you start making some money.
A lot of money.
You got to monitor your burn rate. Now,
a lot of money.
Right. Now, when you start making some money, then yes, you're 1,000% correct, Malik. Because now I gotta look at like, okay, how much I'm bringing in compared to how much I'm burning, right? But in the beginning, you gotta burn because you don't know, right? You building up your brand, you building up your inventory, you're building up your clientele. All that requires money. So, and this is what I mean about the burn rate. You got to monitor all that, because until you start making money, you got to make sure that money lasts.
See, what a burn rate kind of got lost in this generation is social media. Everybody is dumping so much money into social media because they like, okay, I can spend 5,000 to generate 20,000 in revenue or whatever. People are going crazy with their ad spends and their social media spends. Like, I mean, like it's ridiculous. I'm seeing a lot of these people online, like they're dumping in the people that you'll see a lot of the other YouTubers and stuff like that. They're dumping in tens of thousands of dollars a month into their ads and everything. So like, a lot of that I think really comes to if you're a startup, unless you're like one of those startups, like high tech startups, and you got to hire a whole team and stuff like that to just get the business going. We're talking about, I guess, owner operator kind of kind of startup.
Yeah, owner operator.
Yeah, call it owner operator kind of startups. Yeah, like that's a whole nother probably podcast. That's a whole nother day. Those type of startups.
Al, you want to chime in? I felt like you needed to say something.
Yeah, go ahead. Al.
It's funny that you were saying that the interest rate is crazy, especially with newer businesses. Like for us, since we're a newer business, you know, a company reached out to me to do. I'm not going to name the company. They reached out for a loan, and the loan wasn't in a monthly payment. It wasn't even a weekly payment. It was a daily payment withdrawal.
Oh my God!
So I was saying to the guy, it was for like let's say $9,000, and the payback amount was like $12,800 within I think like 6 months.
Yep.
Wow.
So and then they take a daily withdrawal of $91 out your account every business day. So it was like $2,000 a month for 6 months.
It's like a royalty, man. That's crazy.
So I said to the guy, I said, like, bro, who would sign this deal? I said, like, this deal doesn't. This is not even good money. Like, who is in their right mind is going to sign this deal?
I'm pretty sure they got somebody prior to
They got
you.
a whole bunch of people. I see it.
And he said, like, hey, man, if you are growing very, very rapidly, where you know, let's say you inject 12,000 into the business within 6 months, you're making from that that 9,000. Let's business is going so well that you're turning that 9,000 into $20,000. You know what I mean? And then you know from the 20,000 you subtract the 12, you made $8,000. That's when it becomes good money. But like, there's so many other options out there that I'm telling him, like, man, listen, like this is not a good idea for us, you know. And it's just because our business is very young and the credit of the overall credit of the business is still growing. That's what he was saying. So I said, maybe we'll reconvene maybe like 2 years from now, but I'm good right now.
Go ahead, Bovell.
I have, not to cut you off, Al. What you said really struck with me because I have these people reach out to me all the time. I have clients that reach out to me with these type of people, and I send them packing 98% of the time.
Yeah.
To me, unless you have some overnight magic,
right,
gonna expound 3 or 4 times their crazy percentage rate, I would advise most people not to do it because they will eventually swallow you up. I've been on the other side where, you know, I've had clients file Chapter 11 bankruptcy and their companies, if you look at their financials, were great, but the loan was terrible. And that daily and weekly payments, that's very tough. You know, I would definitely tell anyone that's listening, you want to stay away from the daily. That's number one. I know they say not to say, you know, never, but 98% of the time you stay away from daily. Weekly, I'll drop it to 65, 70% you stay away from weekly. Monthly, that's a different thing. Now you're getting into the interest rates, et cetera, and stuff like that. But those loans, very predatory. And I would advise everyone listening, you pay attention to those loans.
Yeah.
Thanks for that heads up, man. Hey, man, this has been awesome. Just want to say thank you so much. Before we just end this, I just want to say thank you. We really appreciate all that gems that you guys just dropped. I'm sure there's going to add so much value to somebody that's trying to come up and learn from the mistakes that we all made and leverage the experiences that we just shared.
Yeah.
So hopefully that happens, and I'm pretty sure it will. Besides that, do you guys, I'm going to start with Jason first. Anything you guys want to share that you're promoting that you got that's coming out, that you're working on, anything?
I'm pivoting, well, not pivoting, where I've gotten into the real estate game as a long-term thing that I felt would be good. That's been going well, looking for probably in 2021 to expand on that. And also stay away from predatory lending while I'm doing the real estate, because our first project, I learned how interest is definitely not your friend in any line of work, but especially in a business where you might not see revenue for a long period of time. So that's something that we're working on. Other than that, still growing the firm. We're happy. We're servicing a larger portion of the country, and we're just going to continue to expand.
How about you, Al?
Of course, you know, growing Payvmnt. You can check us out on Instagram at _ PAYVMNT. We got a lot of giveaway contests coming up for the holidays. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff like that, and some marketing campaigns. We just brought on a new marketing team, so we're going to be doing like a lot more, you know, content and fun stuff, you know, to pretty much just differentiate ourselves from other brands. So definitely check us out on Instagram. Yep.
Malik?
I have a lot of new projects. To be honest with you, I'm always producing content. I am a contributor to the Business Insider, Kiplinger, and numerous other Better Investment magazine. So I have nothing but content that I'm always pushing out. I just started in addition to our firm, feltonandpeel.com. I just started a web series giving out high quality content to individuals who are looking to just get an entry level introduction to financial planning, asset management, things of that nature. I fortunately I can't do it on a monthly basis, but I'm probably going to commit to doing it next year. We had our first one 2 days ago, and it was a huge success. And so that's planslikeapearl.com. So we have that venture. We're going to be pushing out some more educational webinars where we're going to be talking about how to invest for your kids, life insurance, investments, all different types of other different planning techniques. And we're going to be giving out all the gems from that standpoint. We're also going to be starting working on my book in the middle of next year. And that probably should be out sometime in 2022.
Oh, that's what's up, man. Congratulations.
Oh, that's dope.
Thank you.
Yeah. Last final words for me. Just want to thank everybody out there for supporting us. To Al's point, it's been an emotional ride. And to Bovell's point and Malik's point, technology is definitely the wave right now. And my recommendation is try to learn as quickly and as efficient as possible, because things are doubling. It's really at a rapid pace, and you want to dive in as much as you can, because everything else, all the linear things, like linear TV and everything else, is slowly going to die out. Mm-hmm. And you want to be ahead of the curve. The other thing is resources is very important. Definitely reach out to anybody to help you out, to get you what you need to do. Even a simple advice or direction is valuable to you, because it's going to take you to a next level that you didn't see. And a lot of times, in hindsight, when I look back, there's certain people that directed me without me realizing I was being directed into that direction from a simple conversation, which is a powerful thing, because you don't know who's going to impact your life, and you don't know who's going to change it. Hope everybody take in everything that we discussed today, and I think that it's going to add so much value in what you're trying to do. Jason, you have a final word, because you leaned in.
You did a great job. I'm just listening.
All right.
I have a final word, man. I have a final word for the businesses out there. Don't give up on social media. If you're starting your business, every business right now needs a social media page. You're going to have no followers, probably your friends and family. They'll at least do that if they don't give you any capital, right? They'll at least follow you. But like, you know, just know that people are watching, people are looking, no matter how many followers and listeners you have. So don't give up on it. Trust me, that's the difference.
Yep.
You want to say something?
No, man. I'm saying I agree, man. I agree.
Uh,
Yeah.
all right. Well, and that's it, man. Thank you again, gentlemen. This
All
has
right.
been an
Thank you.
awesome panel of conversations about the ugly truth about business. And the last thing I want to say about the ugly truth about business is that you got to believe in yourself before anybody else will believe in you. So if you haven't learned that yet, then go back to the drawing boards, go back to the game plan, fine tune it, do whatever. But if you don't believe in it, there's no way you're going to be able to sell it.